First it was a letter, then the receipts, then the threats. I didn't want to believe it, but my own town was hiding something, and I might be next on their radar. I never thought I'd be the kind of person who checks over their shoulder before speaking, but lately, I can't even order coffee without scanning the room for familiar faces. It's not paranoia, not exactly. It's more like a new kind of awareness, the kind that creeps in when you realize the people you grew up trusting might be the ones you should fear most. I guess I should start with the library. That's where everything started to unravel, at least for me. I work there part-time, mostly shelving books, sometimes helping Mrs. Dorsey with a summer reading program. It's quiet, usually. The kind of place where you can hear the clock tick and the old radiators groan. I liked it that way. Safe. Predictable. But a few weeks ago, I was in the back room, sorting through a box of old town records that someone had donated. Most of it was boring. Minutes from council meetings, faded newsletters, a stack of yellowed receipts. I almost tossed the whole thing, but something about the handwriting on one of the envelopes caught my eye. It was addressed to Mayor Haskins, dated about 6 years ago. The return address was just a P.O. box, no name. I don't know what made me open it. Maybe it was the way my hands shook a little, or maybe I was just bored. Inside was a typed letter, short and blunt. The money is missing. If you don't fix this, everyone will know. That was it. No signature, no explanation. Just that. I remember sitting there, staring at the paper, feeling this weird coldness in my stomach. I mean, I've lived here my whole life. I know Mayor Haskins. He used to give me butterscotch candies when I was a kid. He's the kind of guy who waves at everyone, even if he doesn't know them. The idea that he could be involved in something shady just didn't fit. But the more I thought about it, the more things started to click into place. The new playground that never got finished. The potholes that never got fixed, even though the town voted to raise taxes for road repairs. The way the town council always seemed to have closed-door meetings, then came out smiling like nothing happened. I tried to tell myself it was nothing. Just a weird old letter, probably a prank. But I couldn't let it go. I started looking through the rest of the box. And that's when I found the receipts. Dozens of them, all from the same hardware store, all signed by the same two people, Mayor Haskins and Councilman Reed. The amounts were huge, thousands of dollars for maintenance supplies and community improvements. But when I cross-checked the dates with the town's public records, which, by the way, are a nightmare to navigate, the projects didn't match up. Half the stuff they claimed to buy never showed up anywhere in town. I started making copies. I know, probably illegal, but I couldn't just leave them there. I stuffed them in my backpack, heart pounding so loud I was sure Mrs. Dorsey would hear it from the front desk. I told myself I'd just look into it a little more, see if there was a reasonable explanation. But the more I dug, the worse it got. I started noticing things, like how Councilman Reed always seemed to know when I was around. He'd show up at the library, pretending to browse the newspapers, but his eyes would flick over to me every few minutes. Or how Mrs. Dorsey started asking if I was feeling all right every time I came in, like she could sense something was off. I haven't told anyone. Not my parents, not my best friend, not even my cat. I keep thinking about what would happen if I did. Would anyone believe me? Or would they just think I'm some bored kid with too much time on my hands? I mean, this is the kind of thing you read about online, not something that actually happens in a place like this. But then, last Thursday, at least, I think it was Thursday, the days have started to blur together. I found something that made it impossible to ignore. I was in the town hall, supposedly dropping off a book donation, but really just snooping around. There's a storage closet near the back, the kind with a keypad lock. I'd never seen it open before, but that day, the door was propped open with a mop bucket. Inside, stacked on the shelves, were boxes labeled Community Grant Funds. I peeked inside one, and it was full of envelopes, cash mostly, and a few checks. No paperwork, no receipts, just money. I heard footsteps and nearly dropped the box. I shoved it back on the shelf and ducked out, heart racing. I don't even remember how I got home. I just remember sitting on my bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to convince myself I hadn't just stumbled into something dangerous. Now, every time I walk down Main Street, I feel like people are watching me. Maybe they are. Or maybe I'm just losing it. I keep replaying everything in my head, trying to figure out what to do next. I know I need more proof, something solid, something that can't just be explained away. But I'm scared. Not just for me, but for my family. For everyone who still believes this town is as safe and simple as it looks. I started keeping a notebook, writing down everything I see, every weird conversation, every time someone looks at me a little too long. It's probably not enough, but it's something. I keep telling myself I'll go to the police, but what if they're in on it too? What if the only people I can trust are the ones who have the most to lose? I don't know. Maybe I'm in over my head. Maybe I should just burn the notebook and forget I ever saw anything. But every time I think about quitting, I remember that letter. If you don't fix this, everyone will know. I guess that's my job now. To make sure everyone knows. I barely slept after that. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those boxes, just sitting there, like the world's worst secret, waiting for someone to trip over them. I kept thinking, what if I already have? What if someone saw me? I started double-checking the locks on my windows, which is ridiculous, because nobody locks their windows here. Or, at least, nobody used to. The next morning, I tried to act normal. I went to work, smiled at Mrs. Dorsey, shelved books. But I couldn't stop thinking about the closet, about the cash, about how easy it would be for someone to just make it all disappear. I kept glancing at the door every time it creaked, half expecting Councilman Reed to walk in and ask what I'd been doing at town hall. He didn't, but I swear I saw his car parked outside, engine running, for almost an hour. Maybe he was waiting for someone. Maybe he was waiting for me. I started to notice how small this town really is. How everyone knows everyone, and how that's supposed to be comforting, but now it just feels suffocating. I can't even go to the grocery store without running into someone who's friends with my mom, or who taught me in 3rd grade, or who's on the town council. I keep thinking if I mess this up, it's not just me who'll pay for it. It's my family, my friends, people who have nothing to do with any of this. I tried to talk myself out of it. I really did. I told myself I was imagining things, that I'd watched too many true crime documentaries, that I was just bored and lonely and looking for drama. But then I found the emails. I was at the library, closing up for the night, when Mrs. Dorsey asked me to help her with the computer. She's hopeless with technology, always clicking the wrong thing and panicking when a pop-up appears. She left her email open, and I know I shouldn't have looked, but I did. There was a message from Mayor Haskins' subject line. Grant disbursement. The body was short, just a few lines. Keep the records off the books. Reed will handle the rest. Don't worry about the auditors. They're taken care of. I felt sick. Like, physically sick. I took a screenshot with my phone, hands shaking so badly, I almost dropped it. I know it was wrong, but at that point I didn't care. I needed proof. Something real. Something I could show someone if I ever got the guts to actually do it. That night, I sat in my room with a notebook, the receipts, the screenshot, and tried to figure out what to do. I thought about calling the state police, or maybe a reporter from the city. But every time I picked up my phone, I froze. What if it got traced back to me? What if they found out before I could get the story out? What if nobody believed me, and I just ended up making things worse? I started to spiral. I stopped sleeping. I stopped eating. My mom kept asking if I was okay, and I kept lying, saying I was just stressed about work, or tired, or whatever. I think she knew something was wrong, but she didn't push. I guess I should be grateful for that. Then last Friday, yeah, I'm sure it was Friday because the high school football game was that night, I got a text from an unknown number. Just one line. You're in over your head. Stop digging. No name, no context. I stared at it for a long time, trying to convince myself it was a prank. But I knew it wasn't. I deleted it, but it didn't matter. The words stuck in my head, looping over and over. I almost gave up. I almost burned the notebook, deleted the screenshot, put the receipts back in the box, and pretended none of it ever happened. But then I thought about all the things this town could have had. The playground, the road repairs, the after-school programs that got cut because there wasn't enough money. I thought about the people who trusted these leaders, who believed in them, who voted for them. I thought about my little brother, who still thinks the mayor is some kind of hero because he handed out free ice cream at the 4th of July parade. So I made a decision. I packed everything up, the notebook, the receipts, the screenshot, even the stupid letter that started it all, and I drove to the next town over. There's a newspaper there, not a big one, but big enough. I walked in, asked to see a reporter, and just dumped everything on the table. I told them everything. I didn't even care if I sounded crazy. I just needed someone to listen. The reporter, her name was Jamie, listened. She asked questions. She took notes. She made copies of everything. She promised to look into it, to keep my name out of it if she could. I don't know if I believe her, but it felt good to finally tell someone. To finally let it out. Now, I'm just waiting. Every day feels like a year. I keep expecting someone to show up at my door, or for my phone to ring with another warning. But so far, nothing. The town is still the same on the surface. Kids riding bikes. Old men playing chess in the park, Mrs. Dorsey smiling at everyone who walks into the library. But I know it's not the same. Not for me. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe nothing. Maybe the story will get buried, or the people in charge will find a way to wriggle out of it, like they always do. Or maybe, just maybe, someone will finally pay attention. Maybe things will change. I still check over my shoulder. I still keep the windows locked. But I don't feel powerless anymore.
I did something. I tried. That has to count for something, right?
Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever feel safe here again. If I'll ever be able to walk down Main Street without feeling like everyone's hiding something. But I guess that's the price of knowing the truth. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And maybe that's not such a bad thing.